All right, a little bit of a confessional sin here. I have been watching Black Sails. Yeah, a lot of like soft porn, very violent, very oppressive, whatever. Bad guys, pirates. Why am I watching this horrific, sinful series? Well, I plan on For the Lord RPG doing a role-playing game where it's about the sailing period. So I'm looking for things to get me visually. I'm a visual person and I'm a writing person, so I just want a little bit of both. And so I'm watching it, and it's torturous, but I still, I'm trying to garner something out of it. And I'm still old school, or I don't know if that's old school, but I still have my old atheist habits where I'm comfortable with stuff like this. I've been an atheist most of my life, and I'm comfortable with stuff like this. And I'm hardcore. I've watched all the dark, sinister stuff because I was a fine art major and a painter and a drunkard for many years here in Hollywood. So I got access to everything. Anyway, what I'm saying is I'm watching it, I'm enjoying it, but it is very bad. But the thing I noticed about it, let me just kind of go through this real quick. I want to say some things about it, and I'm just here's on YouTube a bunch of videos. Okay, so the main dude is gay. That's like, give me a break. He's gay. He doesn't. He only has one kissing scene in the second season of it because once they want to make sure they sell to you the character before they reveal that he's gay. And the thing about it, and the rest of it, he's not really like, there's no sexuality for him. There's plenty of sexual stuff, and of course there's plenty of sexual stuff in there that I should also condemn equally. The rape, the whoring, the trysts, and all the constant stuff. And yes, it's all bad. Now, why am I dogging? I'm hitting on the gay thing, because all the other stuff they threw right at you right at the beginning, and you knew what you're getting into. The gay thing they had to hide. They had to hide and wait for a season before they revealed his backstory, and they also had to make it so that the whole gay thing he was a victim, because that was one of the reasons that he was excommunicated basically from England and became a pirate from the British Navy, is because he was gay. They discovered that and then excommunicated him, and so he fled and did this, and of course the other man died because they were trying to pray away the gay or something. So that annoying about this whole thing. And Christianity is very weak in it. There's one pastor, which actually the one pastor, he's very weak, but they kind of show him being a decent person, except he fell and had sex with a woman at one point, and I don't know, nothing came of it except he was feeling guilty and shameful, but they never show the sort of the organized church, just him alone. They never show his congregation. They never show him actually being part of things. They do show, there's I think there's a funeral or two, even of pirates, and I think he actually officiates over it. I'm not sure. So there's that. But as far as God being in the story, well, they're pirates, and it's in Nassau, and it was a pirate haven, so I guess not so much. What is my point in all this? Here's the point. They're depicting the English and the Navy as corrupt, two-sided, whatever, and they're depicting the pirates. The pirates are obviously hooligans and bad, but they're giving them a sort of a heart, or a better, even though they're kind of, evil and fighting with each other, it's still insinuating that the pirates are good and the British Empire is evil. In this regard, though, that he's a victim, this guy's a victim of the English, I don't know, Christianity or whatever, and that they're there because of their victimization through the British Empire. Okay. And I'm not trying to defend the British Empire, but I'm noticing that it's all about sort of producing this desire to want to be the villain. And I even, doing some other research about this, many of the British were so excited about some of the depictions of the pirates in their books and stuff that it became very popular to read about the pirates. Okay. So we all gravitate towards this. We all gravitate towards the dark side, the evil and all that. But here's what I want to relate to in this, and be very careful about this, because what I noticed too about a lot of the Hollywood does that. They will create a corruption of the white colonizers or the British to push this message in our minds and hearts that the British Empire and the American Empire or American state or whatever government, the powers that be are the corrupt, horrible thing that we need to undermine, and of course bring in Marxism or whatever. And they pretend that these guys are all egalitarian, right? They're all equal. But here I am, reading about the pirates, and they're equal up until the point that one of them decides to become a dictator quite easily in the real history. You and I would never want to be a pirate, as depicted in these shows. These shows depict them all having, we're going to vote for the next captain. But, well, they vote for the next captain until one of them gets pissed and then just kills people and then becomes the captain and tortures and rapes. And they try to depict in here that they don't use slaves, but they did. They were a huge part of slavery. They might have freed them in the beginning, but as soon as it became a profitable venture for them, they became the slavers. So there's, for them to say that they have a heart of gold, pirates with a heart of gold, is kind of another cop out and sell. And I want to relate it to today, to the modern world. Here's how. Okay. Hamas' top guy was just blown into the afterlife on the same day that Israel killed Hezbollah's senior military commander. Now look at how the media covered it. So there was two leaders. Here were their crimes: murder, imprisonment, and torture of Palestinian civilians, right? Because of course they're going to do that to anyone that protests their brutality. Mastermind of October 7th attack, murdering 1,139 people and kidnapping 251, raping women and children, brutal child sacrifice kind of stuff. Pulling the strings of Hamas for years. He's celebrating October 7th. This guy, a 1983 bombing of Marine Corps barracks in Lebanon that killed 241 Marines, bombing of a soccer field in Israel that killed 12 children, the murder and abduction of 3 IDF soldiers, this guy, amongst whatever else. He died like a dog. He died like a coward. He was whimpering. This is what we want. So what does the history makers say? Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh is killed in Iran by an alleged Israeli strike, threatening escalation. Threatening escalation with Islam is like saying, gee, they killed us, so we need to respond. Oh, you're going to threaten escalation now. They're using terror tactics on us, so we need to go to war. Oh, you warmongers, how dare you escalate this? You don't hate the media enough. Obituary: tough-talking Haniyeh was seen as the more moderate face of Hamas. Tough-talking Haniyeh was seen as the more... So this is history makers here telling you what to believe. Not a single word about him being the head of one of the deadliest terrorist organizations in history. Not a single word about October 7th massacre. Not a single word about the blood of thousands on his hands. So this is the press. No, okay. Alex Crawford just described Ismail as being considered a very moderate leader of Hamas, who are a proscribed Islamic terror group. So that's what history does. That's what Hollywood does. They depict the British, as horrible, and then they depict pirates and terrorists in this sort of sad light. And they've done this over and over. I've seen this over and over in the last year or two. I mean, well, forever actually. This depiction done by pagans, secularists, Democrats, whatever, the left. They continually do this, and so we are ourselves left with this desire then to fight the power and go with the coup, the usurpers, the pirates, the terrorists, and we have this sort of natural reaction to want to fight the British Empire, right? Like Pirates of the Caribbean always shows the British Empire as being the corrupt, the oppressive. Yet you and I would absolutely pick to live in that kind of a world than in this world. We wouldn't. Would you really want to live in a terrorist world or a pirate world versus living in England? And I understand that England, there's tough times, but when I go to England quite a bit because of my wife's English, I go to England quite a bit, and no one there, everyone is like happy. I mean, I know it's changing now, but in the last 20 years that I've been there, 30 years, been married 30 years now, almost 30 years. Everyone there was like living good lives, in their small little countrysides, and I just never sensed anything oppressive or let me clear my throat. Now, Now, granted, in England, in stories, you got to create more stress and more of a conflict. But again, we as people sitting leisurely in our air-conditioned rooms, watching this on Netflix or ABC, NBC, whatever, as a movie, we just constantly being fed this trope that the white colonizer is the oppressor. But as I'm reading more and more historical stuff, I'm reading how horrific paganism is. I've never, 10 years ago, I did not think about paganism. 3 years ago, I did not think about paganism. I did not know the massive amount. 3 years ago, I did not know the massive amount of horrific butchery and torture I kind of knew, but not really. The typical culture of sexuality and brutality that is the norm for paganism. And now I am starting to see it, and I'm starting to see how we have been brainwashed through all this entertainment and through the media to believe in terrorists and pirates and pagans and cannibals than we are to believe in the growth of Christianity, the spread of Christianity, the church history. Yes, I know it started with empires, but even those were becoming more and more about law and order. And law and order for everyone, from the peasant to the king, had to abide by law and order. And yes, it took many hundreds of years and 2,000 years to get to the fruitional point of this equality of man that has already been described in the Bible for 2,000 years. And it just took man 2,000 years to finally figure it out. So that's my point in this, that as we watch these shows, be aware, be conscious of this, especially with your kids, to know that these shows are overemphasizing, corrupt moments or making characters more corrupt because they need to make more of a conflict. But it's easier to show Christians and white colonizers the bad than it is to show real bad guys. Man, my throat. So in the game of life, roll holy dice. And these games are about that. And I'm going to do another one soon, The Age of Sails, to try to show you and depict that the church and Christianity and that sort of history of the white colonizers is way better than the alternative. And we need to depict them historically so that you and I and our kids know what paganism is, as it's being sort of turned into Disney-like stuff in the role-playing games, when the reality of it, and we're preaching it that way too, and we're teaching everyone to be pagan as we play these games. So the reality of it is what we got to teach, so that they know, I may be having fun as this pagan in this game, but why is the culture translating it now into the real world and getting rid of the church and getting rid of Christianity? And guess what's replacing it? Paganism. All right. Woo. In the game of life, roll holy dice. I'm gonna have some breakfast now.